Hello. I'm so glad that you joined me for this. We are just going to go over a few things that concerning the mathematics that was administered in 2013. We broke it down into 5 categories, and it consists of 20 students. 20% or rather 4 out of 20 students scored advanced. 65% or 13 students of the 20 scored satisfactory, and 15%, or we could say 3 students, scored unsatisfactory on the test. So let me begin by telling you that I'm so very impressed that all of you, to even see all of your hard work and the amazing glows that your students had success in. So I called this to just talk to you and let's talk about some things that we're going to go over. We're going to begin our discussion with these glows and the strengths and the wonderful teaching and that you've done. And then we'll move on to a few more points and talk about a few of the grows, as well as the interventions to move those grows to glows. Now let's start with let's start with our glows. There's lots of them, and you did a great job. 3 of your categories: the category 3 in geometry and spatial reasoning. Many students answered 7 out of 9 questions correct. 1 question was even answered by 100%. 4 students answered 9 correct. 12 students answered 7 to 8 correct. 4 answered 5 to 6 correct. Those are gross to be very excited about, and those are impressive. As far as reporting category 4, the concepts and uses of measurement, on 7 out of 8 questions, students answered correctly 75% of the time. That shows success. 8 students answered all questions correct. 7 answered 6 to 7 correct. 4 answered 4 to 5 questions correct. Let's move on to reporting category 5, which was your probability and statistics. All questions were answered 85% of the time or higher, except for 1. 9 students answered 6 questions correct. 8 students answered 4 to 5 correct. And 3 students answered 3 or less correct. And 1 student answered 3 or less correct. So those are great statistics to have. In evaluating the data, the probability and statistics, measurement and geometry and spatial reasoning were where students, it was such a great glow. When gauging what else in order that I would recommend in order to support your students, I would suggest concrete models of concepts being taught, which can only enhance really the pictorial models that you use to follow. This way it just reaches every part of, it differentiates our instruction, and it reaches different parts of our learners, and then of course repetition. Repetition will always enhance the concepts by allowing students to work with hands-on materials, and that's when we go back to the concrete. There are so many variations of learners out there, so it's important as far as pictorial to also get the concrete concepts in there as well. And then as far as grows, reporting category 1, your numbers, operations, your quantitative reasoning, 50% of students missed 5 or more of the 15 questions in this category. So this is definitely a grow that we need to turn into a glow, but that's okay. We're going to work through some interventions that we can get those into grows. And as far as pattern, and then the other one was the category 2, and that was patterns of relationships and algebraic reasoning. And 25% of the students missed 3 or more of the 8 questions. So we really need to get that grow up into glow as well. But again, we're going to work together, and we're going to get some interventions going that we can that will help us with this. 10 answered 6 to 7 correct. 4 answered 8 correct. 3 answered 4 to 5 correct, and 3 answered 3 or less correct. So the interventions in thinking about what would help turn these grows into glows would be such as the first would be non-linguistic representation. This would help to differentiate and target the ones needing this support. Not all of them need that support, but it's not going to hurt. Another intervention would be to identify both the similarities and the differences in order to make sure that the concrete models are being incorporated with every lesson and every activity, and make sure that we're modeling with students in order to help, in order to ensure mastery before moving on to pictorial models, because anything that they get to do with their hands, it just sticks in their brain for so many more. When moving on to the pictorial model, though, it would be a good idea to continue the use of manipulatives. Don't take those away and just and go with just the pictorial. We want to make sure that we're incorporating both of those in there. And then my last thing I think that I would implement is making sure that they had some type of exit ticket. It's just a quick way to ensure that your students are understanding what you're teaching, and if not, then it tells you what parts you need to go back and reteach on. So any of these parts that we can help you, give you support in. If you need help coming up with that, if you need help as far as manipulatives, I'll be happy to sit down and discuss any way that would make it easier for you. Thanks so much.